Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Thank you so much for tuning in here and starting your day with us the right way. It's the best way to start your day with talk radio on your favorite station. So we're proud to be a part of that. Coming up at 7:35 in 30 minutes, we're going to have a member of the Maryland State House of Delegates talk about more Democrat tax initiatives in the free state of Maryland. At 8:05, astronaut Tom Jones talk about the rescue of those astronauts on the International Space Station. And then at 8:35, Sean Spicer will be our guest. It's a big day, actually, Julie Gunlock, as we focus on the media. We spent a lot of time this morning, and there's even more media malpractice stories that have occurred over the last 12 to 18 hours, and we're going to get to them right now, if you don't mind. I don't want to get in the way. And Julie, if you've got other things on your agenda.
No, that's great.
Okay, good. Then we got Tim Graham. He's the executive editor of NewsBusters, of course, from Brent Bozell's mighty Media Research Center. Tim, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
It really has been a busy couple of days here. The media is all in on a lot of stories here, and the way they're painting these stories is really something. But I want to start with something that's kind of developing over the last couple of hours. The Associated Press ran a story. This is on the day. Today, Vladimir Putin will be meeting with Donald Trump. The Associated Press ran a story saying that Tulsi Gabbard, this was quoting Tulsi Gabbard, saying that Trump and Putin are, quote, very good friends. AP has now withdrawn that story because apparently Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, was referring to the prime minister of India, not the president of Russia. This is the same AP, by the way, that we're told, Tim Graham, is vital to covering this White House and must be included in every White House Oval Office pool report. So this is really quite a turn of events for AP, isn't it?
Well, remember, when you go to the AP website, what you'll find is their motto is advancing the power of facts. Well, not so much.
Not so much. Not in this case, no.
Well,
all right,
and
listen,
they're usually advancing the power of opinion. I mean, that's the problem. Is in today's news media, there's way more opinion than actual just putting facts out there.
Yeah, and at a time where they're really trying to sort of make the case that they're being persecuted by the White House and that they're the last remaining real journalists in the room, this is the kind of blunder. And one must ask why. You know, why would they make a mistake like that? And these mistakes, Tim, they're just mistakes, you know. They always seem to just go in one direction. Have you noticed? I think you have noticed that at Media Research Center.
Yeah, that's kind of our bag. That's kind of what we look for. But, yeah, I mean, it's obviously, Trump can't meet with Putin without them all saying, buddy, poodle and owner, you know, they just got to lay that down.
You know, Tim, it's been really interesting watching the media and how they've behaved and seeing this White House much more aggressively responding. I'd love your thoughts. You know, we have this example of Stephen Miller and Cassie Hunt sort of going back and forth, and you know, Cassie Hunt not acting like a reporter or a journalist of any kind. She's acting like an activist representing the other side. And Stephen Miller just wasn't having it. Compare this to the first go-around with the first Trump administration. Obviously, I'm sure you've noticed a change, but how do you assess that? Because it really is very different this time around.
Yeah, well, experience, I think, would be the main difference. It's that, you know, if you go back to 2017, this was sort of new to them.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing here is it's not just that they're fighting with the reporters in the briefing room, which I think they were doing the last time. But I think that what's really intimidating the reporters now or making them feel like democracy is ending is that the administration is being so aggressive in saying we're taking down government-funded propaganda. We took apart USAID, funding all kinds of journalism around the world that was, and now they're suggesting the same with the U.S. Agency for Global Media. We're all hoping for them to get to PBS and NPR and take their money away. Yes. So, I mean, that is a new level of pushing back after the news media spent so much time basically suggesting that Trump should be in jail. That's not an objective position. That's not advancing the power of facts to run around suggesting that Donald Trump should be in jail.
Well, and thank you. You know, when you talk about the news media's real role here, what we're constantly told, what I've been, informed of, that their role is to inform the citizenry. That's the reason why we have a free press. It's why we have a First Amendment, because our founders knew that the media and the journalistic endeavors needed to be free to inform and educate the American populace so that we have an informed citizenry. Given that, listen to how they've been covering this latest story. This is Cut 25. This latest story over the deportation of illegal immigrant gang members and murderers. Listen.
But don't they have to actually prove that those people are who they say they are and that they've carried out those acts of those criminal acts?
Well, we know they're violent people because...
How do we know?
Well, because their records have already been pulled. I mean, these people were violent.
I think that the court...
from where they came from, and now they're here illegally. So
we're having this argument, and that we are talking about, and we're watching the video of these supposed violent criminals going into El Salvador, because that means we're not talking about the stock market tanking.
Recent events remind us that the Irish were among the first immigrants to be targeted in deportation crackdowns.
Tim Graham of Media Research Center. This is not informing their viewers. This is advocacy, and this is making arguments, polemic arguments against the Trump administration's policies. They're not even hiding it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pose that's so annoying right now is the way that they'll say, but there's no evidence. There's no evidence. I mean, we've gone from saying there's no evidence that these trendy Aragua guys are violent, just like you remember Martha Raddatz saying, well, they've only taken over a few apartment buildings, this sort of thing. And then also you played a little Abby Phillips. She also last night, they were saying, remember when Biden was so gone that he was shaking hands with the air and he was getting questions handed to him? And she said, there's no proof of that. And this is what's so crazy, is that they won't acknowledge things we all know to be true.
Right.
And so we should absolutely embrace the idea that we need a free press to hold government accountable. The whole problem is the press we have doesn't hold the Republicans accountable. It seeks to put them all in jail. And it wants to deny what we can all see when Joe Biden's brain was turning into soup.
Well, maybe Abby Phillips should read Jake Tapper's book that is about 4 years.
There you go.
But at least there's somebody at CNN. Hey, real fast, do you have any commentary to share with us on what appears to be the dismantling of Voice of America, and what Voice America was supposed to be and what it's actually become?
Well, I'll say this. Now, obviously, my boss, Brent Bozell, is nominated to run Agency for Global Media. If these people were truly advancing, an anti-communist agenda, making Russia and China upset, why would the liberals be so upset that they're being suspended? I mean, obviously, if you've seen these Voice of America reporters at the White House briefing, they're indistinguishable from NPR. Right. NPR is pretty much the most aggressive defender of VOA, which I think says a lot right now.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Tim Graham, that's right. I didn't realize as I was asking the question that it is sort of connected to Brent Bozell's pending confirmation. So well done, you, as always, much defter than I. Thanks, Tim. Always good to talk to you.
You bet.
We love NewsBusters. We rely on the great work that they do at Media Research Center on a regular basis here. So thank you to that great group. It's 7:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives, Jamie Whitten.
WMAL, making sense of the news.
It was March 5th, 2025, when Hunter Biden filed court documents saying that he was broke. He was, by the way, filing a lawsuit. He was suing Garrett Ziegler. He was suing based on some reporting about his past criminal behavior or alleged criminal behavior. So he was suing for defamation. Then he withdrew the lawsuit because he was broke. He said in these court filings that he was millions of dollars in debt. Mm-hmm. He also claimed that the fires in Pacific Palisades added to his, by the way, the fact that he had a place at the Pacific Palisades tells you that he was riding high for a while there. but he now claims that he's not able to sell his art. He's only sold one painting since December for $36,000. Boy, it kind of makes you wonder that maybe the value of that art was overinflated and connected directly to the power his father had in the White House.
My God.
So Hunter Biden's broke, and yet we have learned this week that he is jet setting over to South Africa.
Yes.
How does one travel to South Africa when one is millions of dollars in debt? Exactly.
That's not the worst of it, Larry. He had a Secret Service detail. 18.
That's right. Well, that's the other part of this story is that he didn't have to pay for that. But by the way, the U.S. is also in debt by trillions of dollars thanks to Hunter Biden's father, and yet we're footing the bill for 18 people on his Secret Service detail as he flies to South Africa. Yesterday, President Trump, after a board meeting at the Kennedy Center, took some questions from the media in the lobby, and he made an announcement about that Secret Service detail. Here's cut 27.
Sir, there were 18 Secret Service agents protecting Hunter Biden in South Africa this weekend. Who's paying for that, and do you plan to revoke the Secret Service protection?
Well, we have done that with many. I would say if there are 18 with Hunter Biden, that will be something I'll look at this afternoon. Okay?
Sir?
I just heard about it for the first time. So you have 18 Secret Service going. Where is he exactly?
In South Africa.
In South Africa. And South Africa, you know, is on a watch list. You know that. Because what they're doing to people is brutal. And I've stopped having money go to South Africa. You know that. Billions of dollars. So he's in South Africa. That's very interesting. All right, I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you.
And after he took a look at it, he announced that he was revoking. He announced this on a True Social post, that he was revoking the Secret Service protection for an extended period of time. He said there's as many as 18 people on the detail. It's ridiculous. And please be advised that effective immediately, Hunter Biden will no longer receive Secret Service protection. He extended that order for Ashley Biden as well, Hunter Biden's sister.
Yeah. Who had 13 agents. I can't believe this. These Secret Service agents have got to be so relieved that they no longer have to deal with these family members.
It's interesting. I hear you. And at the same time, I got to say, my hunch is that Hunter Biden might actually be in legitimate danger. You know, when you think about the circles that he has traveled in over the years and the kind of criminal thugs
and hire,
that he
can
has
hire.
been able to.
His father can help hire personal security because this isn't related to his dealings with his father. It's because of his own decisions.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that he deserves Secret Service protection.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that he probably does need security. He is probably in trouble. He has bilked foreign nations.
Yeah.
Nations that do not have good reputations, corporations that have very shady reputations for millions and millions and millions of dollars that have been, it appears, laundered through multiple shell companies, as has been revealed through the Oversight Committee and through the Judiciary Committee in the House. One wonders what he delivered or failed to deliver for that kind of money. If I were, and by the way, and it's all been apparently pissed away because he says he's millions of dollars in debt now.
He's at the FO part of the FAFO. Little
and this happens at a time where he truly it could very well be in danger. So watch that space. Maybe he's not coming back from South Africa. You also heard the president remark about the fact that South Africa is now on a hold with regard to federal funding. There has been some atrocities going on there. Racially motivated atrocities in rural areas where farmers are being vandalized, terrorized, killed in some cases, violent uprisings against them because of the color of their skin, because they're white farm owners. And so we are looking at that, and I think it was Secretary of State Marco Rubio that actually, I believe he either expelled or put a freeze on the diplomatic contingent here in America from South Africa as a penalty for what's going on in that country. It is remarkable that Hunter Biden chose to go there, and we shall see if he even returns, considering he no longer has any protection. It is 7:23.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our little morning show. Get you going every single day. Make sure you check in with us. Coming up at 8:05, astronaut Tom Jones will talk about his colleagues now returning to Earth after way too long stuck up in the International Space Station. Then at 8:35, we'll check in with Sean Spicer, who sometimes I would like to send to outer space. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Are you going to be... Are you going to referee between me and Sean? Because he can be very mean to me.
I always do.
Thank you. Joining us right now to take a look at what's going on in Annapolis as well. The days are counting. You've only got a couple of weeks left there, Mark Fisher, as a member of the Maryland State Delegates, to try to hold the line. You are outnumbered by Democrats, but I appreciate your work with the Maryland Freedom Caucus. What is the latest now with Democrats and their myriad tax proposals?
Well, thanks for having me. The latest in Annapolis is we still don't have a balanced budget because the Democrats can't figure out which taxes to actually pass rather than cutting spending. So, but interestingly enough, the governor put on X yesterday, quote, "We've been doing Doge in Maryland." And it's like, what are you talking about, the Department of Government Expansion? I mean, that's what we've been doing basically in the state. So get this, the governor did come out yesterday and he said he's not going to support a, quote, broad, end quote, business-to-business tax. And so now we're all trying to kind of decipher what that means, broad. So I think what he's saying is he's going to support a business-to-business tax. It's just not going to be as high or as tilted towards one kind of business versus another, and it might actually even apply to consumers as well. That's what we're hearing at the latest.
Well, we did have some businesses coming out opposed to this tax, this business-on-business tax. McCormick's, the spice company, threatened to leave the state. Were there other companies vocal as McCormick's? Because it seems to be that McCormick's made that statement and Westmore immediately backed off.
We think there were some hotel chains that were complaining, and, of course, accounting firms. I can't tell you how many accounting firms called me and said, Mark, this is ridiculous. I mean, you pay us to do your taxes, but then we have to tax you to do your taxes, which, of course, makes no sense. So I think they had an enormous amount of calls, and the Maryland Freedom Caucus did an amazing job. Huge shout out to the Maryland Freedom Caucus for getting so many thousands of people to call and to email their representatives in Annapolis to oppose not just this tax, but all of them.
There was also a sugary drink tax that he had proposed. Apparently he's also abandoned that proposal. Is that correct?
He has abandoned that one completely. And I would imagine that Coke and Pepsi and all the various large beverage makers and bottlers have called him up and said, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously that is skewed towards the people who are not necessarily well off. Right. They get taxed on these things, just like the bag tax and these other things. So I think that Governor Westmore is getting cornered, and he's trying to figure out, what to do. Well, the problem is, and you guys know this, we all see this, he's running for president. He's not running Maryland. He's running for president.
Yeah.
That's right. I just want to make sure that this doesn't get lost in the mix. As Julie Gunlock just pointed out, these business-to-business taxes was going to drive McCormick and Company out of the state. They make Old Bay. They were literally the Democrats and Westmore in Maryland were making things so bad that they were driving Old Bay out of Maryland. For God's sake, if you Republicans can't win elections in Maryland based on that, I don't know what to tell you guys. Come on, Mark.
So get this, my daughter married a guy from Virginia. And, of course, she was born and raised in Maryland. And he always says, no, they're Virginia crabs. They're not Maryland crabs. Well, imagine if McCormick actually moved to Virginia. Then they'd be Virginia crabs, of course.
Oh, my God.
We can't have that happen.
That absolute nightmare. Well, I often say, because I do live in the Annapolis area, and people say, why don't you live in Virginia? And I say, if they could move the Naval Academy to Virginia, I would move to Virginia. And they might be next based on their track record, Mark. That would be cool.
Well, look. Winsome Sears, who's running for governor of Virginia, has turned Maryland into a verb. She says, don't Maryland my Virginia. I mean, she's putting that all over X. I mean, it's embarrassing. But by the way, it's deserved. It is deserved because of the way the state's being run.
All right, so there is a rally scheduled for tomorrow, right? This is at in Annapolis at Lawyers Mall. Who are you looking for to come out here and just sort of let the Democrats know? I mean, again, they've got the votes. They can do whatever they want. But you're right. Wes Moore, he wants to be president, and he would like to be, popular in his own state, I would suppose, since he's facing re-election coming up in a little under 2 years. So what would you like at this tax revolt rally?
Please, everyone come out to Lawyers Mall. That is the space that's right in front of the state capitol in Annapolis, 6 p.m. tomorrow. And the Maryland Freedom Caucus will be there. We will be speaking to everyone, and we want everyone to show up to demonstrate that they've had enough with the taxation in Maryland, and they've had enough with the big government. They've had enough. They're just tired of being ATM machines for Wes Moore and for the Democrats. Please come out, 6 p.m.
Will there be tea thrown into any body of water?
Crab cakes, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, now that the sugary drink tax is off the table, we're not going to do tea. But maybe we can
sprinkle Old Bay on the lawn.
There you go.
And when you're done, you can just go right across the street to Harry Brown's, go to the bar upstairs, order a Manhattan, let them know you're my friend. They'll take care of you. All right. We love Harry Brown's
definitely.
right
That's
there
a
on
great
State
spot.
Circle.
I love that place.
Am I wrong? Exactly. Or Galway Bay on Maryland Avenue is the best Irish pub in Annapolis. I know what I'm talking about. Listen, I would be there rallying right there with you, but I actually have an event with Fisher House tomorrow night in D.C. Otherwise, I would 100% be there. Wait, actually, is it tomorrow night? Hold on, Fisher. Tomorrow night is the Lincoln Reagan dinner for the Anne Arundel County Republican Party. What are you doing cross-promoting with the Republicans?
I think it's actually Thursday night. The Lincoln Reagan dinner. I thought that was Thursday.
I think it's tomorrow night because they asked me to MC and I couldn't do it because I got my Fisher House commitment.
Oh boy!
You might want to look into that. All right. See, this is once again. I don't belong to a organized political party. I'm a Maryland Republican. All right, Mark Fisher. Thank you, sir. Good talking with
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Hold the line. It is 7:44.
And this morning on the Chris Plant Show, Trump plans to get Putin on the phone to talk about peace in Ukraine, and that makes the Democrats angry. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Big day yesterday at the Kennedy Center as the new chairman of the board, Donald Trump, presided over a board meeting. Also, the images of the president, the first lady, the vice president, and the second lady were posted, and framed pictures were put up on the marble wall right outside the stage door. So every musician, dancer, actor, employee of the Kennedy Center who works backstage, they go past those pictures now on their way in to the backstage area.
But it's not like a Trump's been doing this. It's his mugshot. Right?
Oh, well, no, it's not no. That's his official picture.
No, is that really?
It looks like the mugshot.
Oh my
God,
God,
the same attitude.
Okay, Larry, I literally thought that that people have been hanging out.
No. That is the official presidential portrait. It's remarkable.
No,
how striking it is.
Okay, that looks like his mugshot. It's very close to his mugshot, and then the picture of Melania is like this very voguish. Yes. It's that professional photo shoot she did recently. Which maybe is that her official?
Yeah.
That's
her official.
Oh my
that's
goodness.
the official portrait
good to
of the
be
first
a supermodel. And then Vance and Usha look more normal. Like,
I'm not saying the Trumps look abnormal. It's just a little bit more dramatic and striking.
Theatrical.
Let's just say they have a sense of drama. All right. Meanwhile, despite all of the criticism of Donald Trump and his appointment of Rick Grinnell as the interim executive director of the Kennedy Center, the fact of the matter is the crown jewel of the American performing arts here in our nation's capital, which should be a destination for people worldwide to see the greatest that America has to offer in the realm of performing arts, it has been run into the ground. They are facing huge, dire financial straits, despite the fact that their president was hauling in $5 million a year to run the place into the ground, and they were getting upwards to $250 million a year allocated from Congress. Excuse me, I don't think that was per year, but it was a total of $250 million in bailout funds. Here's Trump yesterday talking about where the Kennedy Center is right now, not just financially, but also the building itself.
Yeah.
Go.
Thank you very much. We're here to have our first board meeting, Kennedy Center, and it's in tremendous disrepair, as is a lot of the rest of our country, most of it because of bad management. This is a shame what I've watched and witnessed. They spent a fortune, $250 million, and they built these rooms that nobody's going to use, rooms underground. And I've often wondered, what are the big cubes that they have outside that block the view? They're cubes with a door in them so that people can get down to rooms that nobody's going to use. And it's a shame. It's a shame. The other thing is we're going to have a little problem with some people that work here. We had Lee Greenwood wanted to sing a little song today, and because of the cost in the union structure, for him to sing a song just for the board, just a board meeting, it was going to cost $30,000. That doesn't sound too good. They wanted $30,000.
Believe that. I trust me, I have experience dealing with the IATSE unions, International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, as well as the AFM, American Federation of Musicians. That's the case. You want to turn on a light? You want to turn on a light? It takes, you got to have 4 heads of department in there to turn on the light. You want to play some music? Oh, you got to hire musicians. Well, no, he's bringing his own musicians. Doesn't matter. You got to put AFM on the payroll. This is what happens. He went on to talk about how important the Kennedy Center is to our town and to our nation. Let's go to cut 32 here, please. Here's Trump yesterday.
So we're going to spend a lot of effort, a lot of money on crime, and we're going to spend it on fixing up. We don't want graffitis on the beautiful white statuary marble, and we want to have our roads good and everything else. We'll be able to do that easily. And this is a part of it. I mean, Kennedy Center is a very big part of it, and you can't have this looking like it does. I'm so surprised because, I know the person who was in charge of it, and he's a good man. I never realized this was in such bad shape. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to be here in a long time.
Yeah. I want to say I've lived here 13 years now, all right? I've covered Obama, the first Trump presidency, Biden, and now the second. This is the first time that a president, including Trump's first term, he just said, I haven't been here. He had a lot of other things going on his first term. This is the first time I've seen a president actually take interest in how Washington, D.C. is run, beautifying the city. He's talking about crime, homelessness, graffiti, and the Kennedy Center. People who live in this area should be embracing this, and if they don't, it's because they hate Trump.
Well, I mean, there's areas of D.C. I just don't go anymore. I don't go to Union Station. Frankly, the area around Kennedy Center, although I believe it has recently been cleared, but there was a massive tent city down here.
Yes, on that.
Yes, it scares me. There are, again, areas that really, really scare me in this town.
Well, I'm very hopeful that he can turn the city around. The only reason that tent city got cleaned up is because Trump threatened Muriel Bowser to do it, and then she did it. That should take hold of the Kennedy Center if someone can put that place back on its feet and then start opening it up to people beyond just the rich elite who like to boo J.D. Vance to virtue signal. The arts are for everyone, and that's what the Kennedy Center is supposed to represent. 7:54.